Hello, hello, and welcome once again. J76NY here, back with Anton Rayne, President of Swordland. We have a very, very serious meeting, an urgent meeting at that. And it is a meeting on potential alliances in the White Room of the Maroon Palace. How exciting. This is actually a pretty important meeting, considering we are moving ever so close to war with Rumberg. So we want to definitely get some alliances if we can, because I don't know if the army of Sorland can handle Rumberg on their own. So let's get into today's story. I was sitting right across from David in the White Room after he scheduled an urgent meeting. I knew that the matter must be serious. He insisted on waiting for Joseph and Lucian, so we did. Lucian entered the room with Joseph by his side. Mr. President, we came as fast as we could. Mr. President, Mr. Wissy, what's going on? David cleared his throat. Welcome, everybody. Due to the potential ramifications, I wanted everyone to be present for this meeting. We have received an envoy from Arcasia. They're requesting a state visit. Arcasia is the Republic of Arcasia, commonly known as Arcasia, constitutional republic situated on the western half of Mercopa, and considered as a superpower of the world. So this is good news. Judging from the current climate, it's not hard to see what this is about. ATO, which is the Arcasian Treaty Organization. The thing I love about this game is the level of detail that the developers put into creating a backstory for everything, and plenty of information about all organizations, countries. ATO is always trying to expand its influence after all. They will most likely try to convince us to join. In addition, as part of the state visit, Dwight Walker, who's an Arcasian businessman and politician, and president, will of course meet with you in person, Mr. President. In addition, I wanted to meet with him as well. There's a lot we can gain from his visit. And as much as I share their ideals, we need to be wary. We can gain a lot from this visit. With all due respect, are you out of your mind? Oh, thanks. Mr. Lancia. He is my Minister of Defense. He is my Minister of Foreign Affairs, kind of my Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense. We've got, I think Vulcan Kruger would be more of a Secretary of Defense. This guy's kind of like the Joint Chiefs, if you're looking at it from an American perspective. Let's let him continue. This is madness. We cannot even consider accepting this. I bet he will come asking us for cooperation under the guise of enforcing their demands to join ATO. This will antagonize half the world against us, and we are going to be at the forefront of the battle. If you are approaching this from the perspective of national defense, then don't. We are in better shape than we were ever before. I assure you, we don't need any outside help. Definitely not from Dwight Walker. We will make do somehow. That's not very reassuring. Let's see what he wants first. I will decide when I talk to him. I trust your judgment and our troops, which I do. But still, I want to take the least amount of risk for Swordland. Let's see what he wants first. We need to be careful. Mr. Walker never gives us anything for free. There will be some concessions for sure. Mr. Wissy, you are our most experienced foreign policy expert. What's your take on this? What do you think is the right action? World tension is increasing rapidly, Mr. President, and I am worried about the future. One misstep and the whole world might be engulfed in chaos. I am afraid it might not be possible to stay neutral in this case. Well, we're kind of not really trying to stay neutrals after Rumberg shot down our plane and we shot down theirs, or we're in the process of it anyway. Our geopolitical position is simply too important. Soon we will have to take a side. If you don't pick a side, we may end up right in the middle of a potential conflict. I am of the opinion that this is an opportunity that we cannot miss. It all boils down to your decision, but I say we should at least listen to what Dwight Walker has to say. What do you think, Lucian? We heard our experts. You are the one who has to decide. Oh, thanks. We're going to accept their offer. I will send our response immediately. Then there is a tiny detail we need to get over with. How should we welcome their delegation, sir? Military welcome is in order. They need to see our might. A plain welcome will suffice. They are the ones who are requesting this. See, this is one of those decisions that could drastically affect the course of the story, so we could make it as extravagant as we can. We need to impress them. Let's go back and look for, see if there's any clues in David Walker's into a wealthy political family, studied international affairs. After the war, he was elected to the House of Representatives. He was regarded to be one of the most popular presidents who ever came to be elected, especially for his economic policies in Arcasia, which elevated a huge portion of the population out of poverty. Maybe we can get some tips on economic development from him. Let's see. Walker was an instrumental force in developing of the Arcadians. We'll make it extravagant. I was going to say if he came from like a pauper type background, we might want to tone it down a little bit. I think that's all for today. Thank you all for attending. As we dispersed, the world map hanging on the wall in the room caught my attention. I walked over to it. How often were the lines on the world map redrawn over the recent decades? What about the future? Alright. Scan around, see if we have any side information we have to deal with. We don't, so let's get into the state visit. The door of the car opened and flashes went off. That's my wife, by the way. That's the President of Arcasia, Dwight Walker. President of Arcasia, head of ATO, came out of the car smiling and waving at the enormous crowd that gathered. It was not every day an Arcasian president came to visit Sorland, after all. Both sides of the maroon carpet leading up to the palace were lined up with soldiers wearing military uniforms of the Kingdom of Swordland era. They had swords, shields, spears, and some of them were on horseback. As soon as President Walker stepped on the carpet, children appeared and showered the road with roses. He slowly started walking towards us. It was then the centuries-old Sordish sword dance started. The show took a minute at most, and President Walker watched it quietly with a stern face, nodding. Lucian approached my side and quietly whispered, "Is the welcome to your liking, sir?" What I meant by extravagant was not a circus show. What the hell is this? Looks good, Lucian. Good job. Thanks, Mr. President. Seeing the President Walker was approaching, Lucian stood back. Finally, I was in reaching distance to one of the most powerful men in the world. He looked at Monica first, bowed and kissed her hand for a second longer than I'd like. So I kicked him straight in the face. Sorry. Mr. Rayne, if you'd told me I'd get to meet with your lovely wife, I would have come sooner. Well, I'm charmed, Miss Rayne. Jesus. Oh, Monica, help us out a little bit here. Oh, my. And thank you, Mr. Walker. It's a pleasure to meet with you. No, the pleasure is all mine, Miss Rayne. I hope your wife and family is well. They're very well, Miss Rayne. Thank you. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it here today. Wink, wink. And who do we have here? Mr. President. It's so good to finally meet you. And who do we have here? Are you serious? Who's this guy? What's he looking at? I just got dusted. It's really good to see you, Mr. President. I wanted to meet you for the longest time, and welcome to Swordland. Let's butter him up a little bit. I assure you the feeling is mutual. That's why I'm here, in fact. Oh, good to know. We started walking towards the reception hall in the palace. Our path was cleared of people at once. He was simply looking around at the extraordinary interior design of the Maroon Palace. Statues, paintings, and various ornaments filled both sides of the corridor. We passed the corridor and entered the reception hall. The crowd inside was composed of various politicians and state figures. Upon our entry, they started clapping. Dry martinis were handed to both of us. Don't mind us, we're just passing by. This wasn't arranged or anything. Let's give a warm welcome to our guest of honor. Thank you, President Rayne. It's really good to be here. And thank you, everyone, for the warm welcome. With another thunderous round of applause, the jazz band started playing. President Walker and I separated and started mingling with the crowd. The reception was in full swing. After some time chatting with the attendees, President Walker approached us. He bowed before my wife. Miss Rayne, can I call you Monica? She looked over at me before smiling at him. Yes, of course, if I can call you Dwight. Ooh-wee. I'm fighting words, boy. He took her hand and they started dancing. I turned around to talk to the waiter. I was into my third martini when I heard a whistle. Sweet. I turned around and saw Monica dancing very closely with President Walker. All eyes on the room were on them. President Walker grabbed Monica's waist. Finish her martini. We are trying to butter him up after all, you know. Swirling around, Monica looked like she was having fun. They finally finished their dance after a few minutes and came over to the bar that I was leaning on. Monica, you are full of surprises. Thank you, Mr. Walker. And Mr. Rayne, you are one lucky guy. I know, and I cherish every moment of it. I hope you enjoyed your little dance. Monica looked at me and smiled. You love birds. The president and I swapped our drinks for Earl Maroon 30 years old. I knew a special spot. With our drinks in hand, we went down to the stairs to the basement. Oh boy. Maybe Monica isn't the one that needs to be worried here. Gradually, the music and the sound of the party started to fade away. We arrived at a cozy little corner office with not much inside other than a table and comfortable chairs. He took a seat and I followed suit. He pulled out 2 cigars. I'll take one. He pulled out a Rippo lighter and lit my cigar before he lighted his own. You don't light cigars with Zippos. You want to have your whole cigar ruined? What's wrong with you? Or, sorry, Rippo. You don't light your cigars with Rippo lighters. I heard you got into a scandal. Let's not talk about the scandal. We have much more important matters to discuss. Yes, what of it? Truly unfortunate chain of events sounds like the best choice. Besides, it wasn't me, it was my vice president. It's just a scandal, and I'm not a reporter. Okay? I just made it out alive of a bad one myself. Oof. It was a rough one, too. I wonder what that was. If anyone remembers, feel free to leave a comment down below reminding me. You get used to it. A couple people in prison, couple people silenced. You know the drill. Oh. Cheers to your survival then, Mr. Rayne. We clinked our glasses and took a sip. This is really a good one. Very smoky. I like it. Let's insult him. What, you never had an Earl Maroon before? You putz? Wait for him to start the conversation. He took a puff of his cigar, filling the room with smoke. Definitely miles better than Volkslandian whiskey. But I like lesbian whiskey more. It pairs better with their cigars. See, Mr. Rayne, whiskeys are a little bit like countries. Some are stronger, some are weaker. Some are older, some are younger. Many are complex, but sometimes simple is the best. I personally like stronger whiskey in general. That's why I like this one. Yes, it's definitely promising. But whatever you drink in the end, it all boils down to your own taste. Mr. Rayne, my sense of taste is very refined. What type of whiskey do you like? I'm good with whatever's made here in Swordland. Let's see. I like the stronger ones. What did he say? We'll agree with him. A man after my own heart. We're really got the shit on our end of our nose this day, don't we? You know why I'm here? I want to make you an offer. I'm listening. Good. Listen closely. Times are changing, and so is the balance of the world. Soon, instead of a fractured world, we will see a more united world. There is us, ATO against them. There is us, ATO against them. What the hell? Whatever. I want you by our side, the winning side. I think there is much we can achieve together, and you have shown me the proof. A friend of Lesbia is our friend as well. If you accept, I would like to extend you a warm welcome to ATO as a full member state. That sounds promising. This, of course, comes with a lot of privileges and responsibilities. In ATO, we protect each other. Ding, 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 ding. We have a mutual defense clause in the case of war. Join us, Mr. Rayne, and you will have the entire backing of ATO. Soldiers, jet fighters, warships, whatever you like. During peacetime, you will see the effects even more. Our combined production output will benefit both Swordland and ATO. We will have a free trade zone agreements, free visa access, investments, you name it. All I ask in return is mutual loyalty to another in the pact. The Sordish Armed Forces will be a member of the ATO military structure. All branches, be it Air, Navy, Army, will collaborate with the Alliance network. We will provide assistance and training for free. Our armies will learn how to fight together and be stronger than ever in the face of Malianivist threats. Let's make history here tonight. What do you say? Let's see. I say I accept, Mr. Walker. Is that all you are asking for? I was expecting more demands. I assure you we can hold our own just fine. Thank you for the offer, however, we have no plans to enter ATO. I am not going with that one. Let's get in on this. We stood up and shook hands. Welcome to the ATO, Mr. Rayne. Welcome home. Cheers to the newfound partnership. We clinked our glasses and downed the remaining whiskey. You guys got to be drunk as hell by now. Now it's starting to taste better. Let's go upstairs, Mr. Rayne. We have much to discuss. But more importantly, we need to celebrate. Besides, I have a few more... I am united against communism. So says Steam. Besides, I have a few more dance moves to show off. Okay. As long as that's not with my wife. Alright. So we got through that, and we actually made ourselves a nice little alliance there. We are now members of the ATO. Let's see. Military. Order. Reduce crime. Diplomacy. Strategic alliance member. ATO military supporter. Alright, let's see what the newspapers have to say about that. Administration announces Swordland's ATO membership. President Rayne has announced that Swordland will take the next steps to join ATO. The transition period will have no effect on the citizens during the earlier days. However, gradually our economy and society will begin to be integrated into the New World Order. Sweet. What have I gotten myself into? Oh well, militarily, ATO will now have substantial power over the decision-making of the Sordish Armed Forces, which I'm sure my bald Minister of Defense will have none too good things to say about it. I like that guy, too. He doesn't seem to be out for something like most of my other ministers. Let's see. Geopolitical... President Walker's Swordland visit bore fruit as President Rayne has announced that Swordland will be joining the ranks of ATO. The historic moment has been welcomed warmly by the member states of ATO as they congratulated Swordland. President Rayne's lesbian counterpart, Prime Minister Alvarez, has called Swordland's joining to ATO the best thing to happen to Eastern Macopia in the last century. Over the span of the next couple years, Swordland will economically, military, and diplomatically integrate with the rest of the Pact. Although the membership comes with a myriad of responsibilities, the changes will improve Swordland as a whole in almost every aspect. On the other side of the world, the leader of CSP, Chairman Malinev, called the Swordland's ATO membership a threat to the stability of the world. Well, Chancellor Hagel refrained from making a comment. So there's another side of the world. And from what I understand, the developers of this game are working on something else. Not sure if it's Swordland, Suzerain related, but that would be great if it was. Maybe the ability to play as some of these other guys. Or whatever. Call with Evelyn Vectorn. Oh, no. We have to take a call with our former vice president's wife. Let's see how she's doing. I was in the living room watching the tail end of a news report when I heard the phone ring. I sighed and walked over to the phone, wondering who could be calling me this late. I picked it up. Who is this? I heard a soft voice from the other end. Hello, Anton. This is Evelyn. Sorry for calling so late. Is something wrong? Yes. No. I don't know, actually. Spit it out, woman. What's going on? Oh, boy. All right, let's talk. The thing is, I was supposed to meet with Peter today to hand him the signed divorce papers. But he didn't come to our designated meeting. I figured he might have been too drunk to remember, so I went to the apartment he's been renting, but he wasn't there either. I asked around. The landlord, the neighbors, his friends. No one knows where he is. Trust me, Anton. I couldn't be more excited to be rid of this man, but I can't close off this chapter of my life without his cooperation. He's probably just with some other girl. Stop worrying. This isn't my problem. I'll just go with that one. Tempting to go with the second one, but sure looks like she has a mustache. Huh. He was in bad shape after your press conference. Can't you get your police contacts to look into this just to be on the safe side? You're being paranoid, Evelyn. Let's just wait a few more days and see if he turns up. If he doesn't, oh well. I knew, by the way, about all his affairs. I actually didn't, so I don't know why that's there. I never had any idea he was cheating on you before this, by the way. You know, I would have come to you about it. Not sure I would have gone that far, but whatever. Get some sleep, Evelyn. Goodbye. The line dropped. As I put down the phone, Monica sleepily approached with a glass of water in her hand. Who was that? Is everything all right? It was Evelyn. She said Peter went missing. Missing? Drowning in his sorrows, I wager. Very sympathetic woman. I'm surprised she still cares about him. She was a good influence on him. For a while, she made her way upstairs. Call Carl to ask him about Peter, go to sleep, or continue watching TV. I'm gonna question my chief of police there, or whatever he is. Sorry for calling you this late. Not a problem, sir. I only sleep for 3 15-minute intervals per night. What can I do for you? I need you to find someone. As you wish. I heard a faint rustling of a notepad being opened. Who do you want me to find, sir? Peter Vectorn, the ex-vice president. As you command, I will report my findings shortly. Thank you for your help, as always. Have a good night. He hung up. I put away the phone and went down to the bedroom to get some sleep. As I was eating breakfast the next morning, the phone rang. I picked it up. It was Carl. Good morning, Mr. President. Morning, Carl. I have some unfortunate news regarding Mr. Vectorn. Uh-oh. His wedding ring, a half-empty bottle of pills, and a handwritten note were found on a bridge overlooking the Unger River. Oh, no. We surmise that he took his own life. Good Lord, that's depressing. What did the note say? You wished it to be read by Evelyn alone, sir. Would you like to break the news to Mrs. Vectorn, or should I? You do it. Right away, sir. Well, if that doesn't lay the guilt on pretty heavy. Carl hung up. With a heavy heart, I started thinking about what I would say to Monica. Alright. Let's scan around. Keep waiting for something up here. Alright, well, what's the newspaper say? Swordland today, former vice president's suicide confirmed. Following the scandal between former Vice President Peter Vectorn and President Rayne's former secretary Olivia Suno, there has been reported rumor that the former Vice President has gone missing. Sadly, proof of Peter Vectorn's suicide has been confirmed. Veteran's wedding ring, a half-empty bottle of pills, and a handwritten note were found on a bridge overlooking the Unger River. Livia Suno has not been seen since the scandal broke. There are rumors she escaped back to Rumberg. A private funeral is being held for the former vice president in Holsword. Peter Veteran commits suicide. Alright. Well, that sucks. Read the report from Holsword. Evelyn Vectern has notified us about Peter Vectern not being able to be reached at Holsword Police Department and sparing no effort in looking for him. It's a little behind the times, eh? Alright, so now what we have to do is go to the guy's funeral. That's... the ex-vice president, Peter Vectern, has unfortunately passed away. Preparations are being made for his body being readied for a final journey. The state can choose to honor his service to the nation with a state funeral or arrange a regular one. Shit. We'll go with a regular one. He did actually fuck up pretty bad. And here's the funeral. Our convoy pulled up to the gates of the public cemetery in Erloy, Peter's hometown. Thank you. Monica and Deanna were beside me in the car. The news of Peter's death had hit Frank especially hard. Rather than attend the funeral, he had taken a few days off from school to have time to himself. Monica looked numb and empty. Deanna appeared to be deep in thought. But how did Uncle Peter die? Why won't anyone tell me? Monica looked like she wanted to cry. Doesn't matter, sweetheart. She turned her head and looked out the window, hiding her tears. Hug Monica. Papa, tell me the truth. He fell. It was an accident. Well, should we... So... should we take it easy on her, or... lie? Kind of coddle her? You'll understand when you're older. Don't worry about it. I'm almost 12. Driver's window rolled down. We have arrived, Mr. President. My deepest condolences. I know you and Mr. Vectern were very close. We were... Serge went outside and opened our door. As soon as we stepped out, camera flashes went off. Evelyn Vectern was waiting for us. Upon seeing her, Monica ran up to her and they hugged. Evelyn, I'm so sorry. Or how are you holding up? So. It's hard to play the bereaved wife, knowing the kind of man he really was. But still, we were married for almost 20 years. And the way he died, it's just too sudden. They hugged once again. Evelyn wiped tears and patted Deanna on the head before turning to me. My condolences. Thank you, Anton. I know there's nothing either of us could have done, but I still can't help feeling responsible for this. I know what you mean. Jeez. Alright, let's go. The four of us, Evelyn, Monica, Deanna, and I, took our places in front of the Vectern family plot. The crowd was sparse. Peter hadn't had many friends left by the end. His father and brothers lifted the coffin on their shoulders and brought it to the grave. The priest completed a ceremony. It was time for me to make a speech. Today we mourn Peter Vectern, the fourth vice president of Swordland, and a true sword who strived to achieve the best for his country against all odds. A very successful statesman with whom I worked very closely over the years. That sounds alright. We drank together, cried together, laughed together, fought together. Probably not the best thing to say at a funeral. He was there with me from the very beginning. He swore he would support our cause until the end. God's word says no man can be perfect, and Peter was certainly no exception. Despite his unconscionable actions towards the very end of his life, I chose to remember him as he was. Though we did not always see eye to eye, I owe Peter everything. I wouldn't be president if not for him. We must all remember him not at his worst, but for the good deeds he has done. The path he paved will go down in history. Farewell, brother, you shall be missed. Amid the applause, I went back to join Monica and Deanna. As I walked past Evelyn, she mouthed the words, "Thank you." The priest's voice cut through the silence. Everyone joined in the prayer he was chanting. Looking at the coffin, I shuddered. The coffin started to be lowered into the grave. I had known Peter for almost 30 years. The time we spent together flashed back before my eyes. The good memories and the bad ones, all of it. It didn't matter anymore. He was gone. I felt a tug on my left arm. "Are you crying?" Surprised, I checked my face. My eyes were wet. "Yes." She hugged my leg. "Come on, Deanna, let's go." The coffin was finally lowered and the tombstone placed. The crowd began to disperse. "Leave a bottle of whiskey on the grave. That sounds perfect." I stayed there by myself for another half hour. The sun finally set after painting the sky blood red. There we go. We have buried our friend and former vice president, Peter Vectern. Vice President's private funeral held. The Rayne government has today announced that former Vice President Peter Vectern has passed away and a private funeral will be held in his honor. Yep, that we did. Late night at the Rayne household. Alright, we'll do this one. It had been a while since Peter disappeared from our lives. I still found myself thinking of jokes he'd find funny or wanting to tell him what had happened at my last meeting, but the grief was beginning to fade. Monica visited Evelyn often at first, helping her process her mixed emotions. Eventually, Evelyn sold Peter's villa in Erloy and used the proceeds to travel the world, something she'd always wanted to do when she and Peter were together. For myself and Monica, though, life in the capital had to go on, and it did. After weeks of late nights, Monica, Sierra, and the Women's Rights Commission had succeeded in getting their bill through the Assembly. The result wasn't as comprehensive as they had hoped for, but it was a good start. I was looking forward to celebrating with my wife. But it had been hours since I'd gotten home, and she still wasn't here. I was dozing on the couch after yet another frozen TV dinner when I heard the key turn in the lock. Monica stumbled into the hall. "Honey, I'm home." "Where were you?" "I was just having a few drinks with Kiera." Excuse me. I'm actually amazed any version of our bill passed given how stacked the Assembly was against us, but of course she wants to keep pushing for more. She hiccuped. "So you decided to go get juiced?" And there we go. Well, yes. Isn't it what a man would do? I'm not sure I like this side of you. I believe you're turning into a politician, Miss Rayne. Get used to it, baby. I'm not going to stop until we get what we've asked for. True equality for all women in Swordland. Serious, Anton. This is what I want to do. I've never felt so alive. I'm glad something good came out of these hellish years. Wow. Show her the framed photo you took out of your office. I opened my briefcase and pulled out the photograph I'd taken from my old office on that fateful night with Peter. Oh wow, look at us. I'm just racking up those Steam achievements, huh? I'm still madly in love with you as I was the day this photo was taken. We were so young. We had no idea what was in store. Who would have thought we would have wind up as Swordland's most powerful couple? Now, go with the first one. Seemed sentimental moment here. Monica smiled, took my hand, and wordlessly led me upstairs to the bedroom. And that's where our story ends. Don't get too excited, guys. Oh, look at all the news articles we have to read. All this stuff. I think we're going to end this episode here and move forward in the next episode. We'll end this one on a high note. Doesn't happen much for old Anton over here, so let him relish it. Anyway, if you liked the episode, it was a bit of a depressing one, although we did manage to join a global organization. Hopefully in the future that will help us when things heat up with Rumberg. I'm sure they will at some point. I mean, we still have to shoot down their plane, so when that happens, it'll be good to have friends. Anyway, like I said, if you like the episode, hit the like button. If you would like to follow along with Anton Rayne through this playthrough, I've got 2 more planned, and our economy is up to 2 notches now, so that's a good step in the right direction. If you want to follow us along through the future of Swordland, hit the subscribe button. Leave your thoughts, tips, and advice in the comment section below, and we will see you for the next episode of our playthrough of Suzerain, the For the People playthrough. J76NY saying thank you very much for watching, and have yourself a very good day.